That bit of music that you just heard was generated by an AI, using one of my songs as a starting point, because we are revisiting OpenAI's Jukebox. I did a video on it a while back, having it generate music prompted from my own songs, and today I want to try to push that even farther. If you don't like horror stuff, you might want to skip this one. There's some genuine nightmare fuel contained within this video. But for everyone else, if you're new to OpenAI's Jukebox, it is a neural network that generates music. Not just melodies or little song ideas, it generates everything and just spits out a wave file, essentially. And you can use your own music as a starting point. Here is a very quick look at how this process works. If you want a more detailed description of how to do this yourself, check out the tutorial that I've linked in the description. But essentially, I am using Google Colab Pro to run this code on one of Google's graphics cards. And there are a few things that I need to make sure I set. First of all, I've set the mode to primed, which means it will continue an existing song. I set how many songs I want it to generate, how long those should be. I usually had it hover around a minute or a minute and a half. I set the sampling temperature, which controls how closely it sticks to its source material. So 1 would be pretty close to the original, and then the lower you get under 1, the more chaotic your results are probably gonna get. I set the prompt length, which controls when the AI switches from just recreating the original to completely taking over and doing its own thing. And then I can look at its database of artists and genres to pick something that's at least close enough to what I'm looking for. You can also put in lyrics if you want to. In all of these cases, I elected not to, and it led to some interesting results. From there, all I had to do was just wait a day or so, and I had my songs. I did this for a few different styles to see how it would react to each of them, and let's start off with kind of a vaporwave meets trap beat that I made. And also note that I've chopped out the most interesting parts from each song that it generated and have strung them together just to give you the highlights. So, here's that. So, first of all, I should mention that the AI is meant to process lyrics, and so it keeps trying to sneak them back in. I had that crop up a little bit in my first few experiments with it, in my first video on it. It really went crazy with it this time. And I have chopped out the best, and by best I mean worst, bits to present to you now. This is where the horror stuff kicks in. First of all, with a descent into hell. Okay, so I don't believe in ghosts, but I think I may have summoned something. Evidenced even more by this second one. Remember, I do not have a good explanation as to why the AI decided to do this. It's a little bit of a black box, especially to someone like me who's not super well versed in all of the coding of this. And it taps into the same kind of creepiness that a lot of supernatural horror gets, where there's like an inhuman entity pretending to be a human, except in this case, the inhuman entity is a computer rather than a ghost. Anyway, let's move on to the second beat, which is a lo-fi hip-hop track that I and my friend Connor put together, and we did a video showing the making of that, which I'll link at the end of this video. So, here's that.
With a bang, you monster sick. On clock wheels of beat, I'm a million sleek. On doctors now, all green casting. Be hiding something tonight, AKJ and look, you give me trick on a script, looking at. Give you a lucky, close someone. She went to France, one home. I got me up to the old and I'm going out. I thought this out. She went to house, comes too. All in jail. Can I feel like something that you're going to start on the left?
So when I was setting up the parameters for these beats to be generated, I put Kanye West in as the artist. I was kind of in a hurry and I just needed to put in someone quick that would be close enough and I was almost positive would be in their database. And it's hilarious to me how it keeps trying to really Kanye-ify these beats. But let's move on to beat 3. This time I fed it a kind of IDM track in a 7/4 time signature because I wanted to see what it would do with it, as well as some more kind of acid, plinky synths. Here's that. And finally, I fed it a metal track, because so far I've been giving it all instrumental music. But this time I gave it a song where I worked with a vocalist, and I didn't give the AI any lyrics. I wanted to see what it would do. So, here's that.
My body's frozen, mind is racing. I can't take the fight from it from me. I'll take you from me. I'm gonna wait you. Your bones are gonna know whatever was on fire.
If you would like to see my first time exploring OpenAI's Jukebox to make even more cursed music, you can click or tap up over here. And if you'd like to see Connor and me make that lo-fi hip-hop track from scratch, you can click or tap up over here. And finally, if you'd like to see another weird piece of music production tech, you can click or tap down over here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back with a new video in a little bit.